Good evening, everybody, and welcome to SAFRL for Season 6, Round 4, and we're in Belgium. Obviously tonight we have a sprint race, so things will be a little bit different. 18 minutes, single qualifying session. That's for everybody to get out there and set the grid for the sprint race. And then the sprint race will go on to determine the grid for the race. So sprint race definitely not a throwaway race. Very important to finish in a good position. Effectively, the sprint race is the qualifying session for the feature race. We ride with Maggot, one of the first cars out on the track, Alpha Tauri, as well as Aston Martin, one of the Red Bulls, one of the Williams. Track getting busy out on track early on, 16.5 minutes to go. Why did I say we're in Belgium? We're not in Belgium, we're in Silverstone. I apologize. I think I said I was in Belgium earlier. I was in Belgium on Sunday. There's an Alfa Romeo emerging from the pits. Obviously the Alfa Romeo are going to look very different in a few weeks from now. Now a very bright green livery. A lot of people feeling very differently on that livery. Evening, Death Queen. Welcome back to SAFRL. We're doing Silverstone all over again. Did it on Monday night. Now we've got a different allotment of drivers. Obviously so far this season McLaren has been doing a fantastic job, so keep your eyes on Mr. M and Andre. This is the first driver who should complete his fast lap, should be the first timed lap of the evening. So we join Maggot as he goes through Cops. And now into Maggots and Beckett's. Such an important complex, you really need to attack these series of corners. But it's easier said than done. So easy to have a bad exit onto this straight. And realistically that would be the end of your lap time. Maggot now enters the final sequence of corners before the main straight. He'll go over the line and become the first driver to set a lap time. Goes over the line, sets a 1:26.6. That is your benchmark for this evening. Moller starting a fast lap. Tried with Pantry Star, he's on a fast lap going around the final corner. Goes over the line, goes quicker, 1:26.2. So just two drivers have gone over the line, 0.4 of a second between them. We ride with Apmagozi as he goes around the final corner. Let's see what time he can come up with. It's a 1:28.7. Good enough for P3 as things stand. I think we're going to have the first of the McLarens going over the line shortly. And there we go. Mr. M goes P3, 26.8. Second McLaren not too far away from the line himself, but it looks like I think he's backed out of this lap. saving up to have another. Remember, these are your constructors leaders, McLaren. Strongest team of the season so far. They'll want to continue that this evening. Pantry Star P3 in the Drivers' Championship, but he is equal on points with the man in P2. So Pantry Star only third because of a technicality. Championship still very much up for grabs. We ride with F1 Andre as he heads towards the most famous part of this circuit. This is one of the longer tracks on the calendar, 5.8 kilometers, 18 corners, 10 to the left, 8 to the right. And obviously after its remodel a few years ago, it's also one of the widest tracks on the F1 calendar. And Andre goes over the line, 27.3. Sure, we're going to see more from him. Still 11 minutes on the clock. Ace of pace. Second AlphaTauri looking to get his first lap time of the evening, as is Spikes in the Williams. Those two leaving things a little bit late if you're not going to be happy with this run. Takes a while to get around here, almost 6 kilometers. Ace of pace, P6. Tell you what, the times are close. 0.6 of a second covers the top 6. Seems like the first round of lap times have been completed, all except for this man here, Spikes. He's on a out lap, yet to set his first timed lap of the evening. Cyber also on an out lap. Looks like he did have a lap time, but it must have been an abandoned lap, 140.0. We join a Ferrari as he goes wide over the curbs. Moller into the pits. Mr. M taking things very slow. Chum's on an outlap, trying to stay out of the way. Sometimes it's difficult in qualifying. You're trying to focus on your own program, but you've got to keep your eyes in the mirrors. You don't want to be the one that blocks the faster car, because that's always going to come back to bite you in the future. So easy to invalidate your lap around here. Just run a little too wide, try to take too much curb in maggots and beckets, and the whole lap is gone to waste. And like I said, it does take a while to get around you, so you don't want invalidated laps when you're looking for that first timed lap. We'll stay with Spikes for now as he is still in search of that first lap. Cyber has a 140.0, so I don't think that is a representative lap time. Spikes goes over the line and up into P13. Pantry Star on provisional pole position, it's 26.2, Loki P2, 26.4, then Welsh almost identical time, 26.4. Absolutely nothing in it in the top three, just 1.5 tenths. This is Welsh, currently P3. He's out on a new set of tyres. Let's have a look who's out there on a fast lap. Every time I focus on someone, they jump off the accelerator like they're camera shy. We ride with Mr. M, but this appears to be an outlap. So let's ride with somebody who's on a fast lap. Here's Rukwa, first of the two Haas drivers. Those two Haas very close together in times, just a tenth of a second between the two teammates. For the time being, battle of the teammates. Rukwa does lead Chums, but just that tenth of a second. Kratos is emerging from the pits, looking to improve on that 27.4. Ooh, and we've joined a Williams at a very bad time. He's made a mistake on his way into the pit entry, and he's lucky to still have all his tyres on the car. Can get in there, change his tyres and get out and have another run. But I have seen people retire in that very same pit lane. Remember, for the feature race, I believe we do have dynamic weather, so I don't think rain is absolutely guaranteed, but it's a very strong possibility. Rain in Silverstone, who would have thought? Going fastest now in the first sector is Mola in the sole Ferrari this evening. So a lap to keep an eye on. Seriously on the move. Evening to Skull in the comment section. Welcome back. Awesome to see the return viewers. Stream on Monday night did really well. These F123 cars still have a bit of color to them. If you've seen the F1 launches thus far, seems like carbon fiber, bare carbon fiber is the new trend. How do you guys feel in the comment section about the liveries we've seen thus far? Do you have a favorite? And do you have a least favorite? Obviously still many to come. Tomorrow we'll get to see the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. It's going to take me a while to get that name. And today we obviously saw the release of the 2024 LP. A lot more carbon fiber than I expected. Ace of Pace, P3, Pantry Star, 26.1. And we missed Cyber go over the line, but he set a 26.0. Nobody quite yet into the 25s. But we still have time in this session, and I suspect some of the drivers have left their quickest run till the very end. So don't take this lineup as a final lineup. Magosi has retired from the session. I'm almost certain he retired in the pits. Usually has a run or two and then says that's it for the session. Gives him some extra time to focus on the race. Remember, this qualifying session is to determine the grid for the sprint race. And then the sprint race will determine the grid for the feature race. Two McLarens separated by half a second. Currently P10, P11. Those are your leaders. So they'll be looking to get themselves a little further up the field than that. Cyber is back out on track. That's your provisional pole sitter, 26.0. Obviously doesn't think that time is safe enough, so he's going out for another run, as is Maggot. He's just a 10th off pole. As is Pantry Star, also 26.1, just a 10th off pole. So, well, if you look at these times, I'd say anywhere down top 7. Even the top 9. Anyone in the top 9 could take pole position here. It's really about who gets the best final run. Sometimes on that final run you get a bit of traffic. Even if the traffic doesn't impede you, it can just break your concentration just a little. And in a sport that comes down to thousandths of a second, just a break in that concentration can destroy your lap time. Losing a 10th is very easy. Gaining that 10th back takes a lot of work. We ride with Loki, currently P7, and straight up into pole position. First man into the 25s, 25.9. And I think he's not going to have enough time for another run, so that will be his final run, 26.9. Cyber has just started his fast lap. Maggot's on his way into the pits, so we won't see an improvement from him. Pantry Star, Ace of Pace, Welsh, all looking to improve, all out on track, busy race circuit. Unfortunately, we don't have a full grid tonight. Don't have the 20 drivers, just the 16. Does help a little bit in the quali session when you don't have 20 drivers. Things can get quite crowded. Fiber is on a fast lap. Pantry Star is on a fast lap. Ace of Pace is on a fast lap. So much can still change in the very closing stages of this session. For now, Loki 25.9. Drivers are going to have to find some extra tenths in their pocket. Seems like Cyber has backed out of this lap completely. Somebody's going to improve. It's going to be Pantry Star, 26.1. Everyone else a little further back. Pantry Star would just need 0.2 of a second to take provisional pole. He has gone slightly quicker than his previous best in Sector 2. He'll be thinking even if he can get himself onto that front row. Is anybody going to be able to challenge that lap time? Pantry Star's gone over the line. Checkered flag has fallen. So now Welsh, 26.3. Is he going to be able to find an improvement? We'll find out. Don't think so. So I think that's the end. That's the end of our qualifying session. Anyone else out on track? Just a solitary horse. Rakwa. And his battery is flat. So he's coming into the pits, and I believe that is our qualifying session. Already getting some support in the comment section for McLaren. Your constructors leaders down in P7 and 8. They've got a lot of work to do in this sprint race. Remember, where you finish in the sprint race, you will start the feature race. Quite a few cars there. Starting line astern. The 2 AlphaTauris taking up the second row. 2 Aston Martins taking up the third row, and the 2 McLarens taking up the fourth row. There we go. That's the end of your qualifying session results. Loki takes pole position, the only man to break into the 25s tonight. Then Cyber P2, Ace of Pace P3, Maggot P4, Pantry Star P5, Welsh P6, Mr. Rem P7, Andre P8, Moller P9, and Chums making up the top 10. Just outside the top 10, we've got Top Gun P11, Rockwood P12, Kratos 13, Akmagozi 14, Thiley Boy 15, and Spikes was disqualified from the session, so he will be starting from the final grid slot. I'll be back with you in... give me a minute, and we'll be back for the sprint race. There we go, and we're back. So obviously now we prepare for the sprint race. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 9 laps. Not entirely sure. Obviously this will be the simpler of the two races. No pit stop needed unless you make trouble for yourself. There's the 5 red lights. And we're underway. It's all about turn 1. Got to be patient. You really can't mess up your sprint race. You don't want to start at the back for your feature race. Everything looks pretty clean through turn 1. Spikes picks up a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Chums. Those two cars at the rear of the field, P15 and 16. Sure, we'll hear about that more later. Skull talking about the race on Sunday. We're going to be racing in Monaco. The home of Charles Leclerc. Loki leads the way. Ace of Pace P2, Pantry Star P3. The order they finish in is the order they'll start in. So this is not just a throwaway sprint race. You can't just throw everything at it, and if you retire, you retire. If you retire from this race, you're going to start right at the back. And if the rain does come down and you do start at the back, you're not going to have the advantage of DRS throughout the race. It's going to make coming through the field that much more difficult. We're watching the AlphaTauri and the Aston Martin swarming all over each other. Loki completes the first lap. Going to be doing 9 laps in this sprint race. Extra points on offer for the drivers on a sprint night. And if you haven't had the best start to the championship, this is the sort of night you can capitalize on to bring yourself back into it. First of the 2 McLarens running in P5, Mr. Rem. His teammate has slipped back a few positions. Andre now in P8. Just having a quick look at the tyres. Pretty even split. Something similar to what we saw on Monday night. Pretty even split of mediums and softs. And if things work the way they're supposed to work, the runners on soft tyres will have superior traction, superior grip in the early stages of the race over their medium counterparts. But those softs will fall off a lot earlier than the mediums. So it's not a long race, just 9 laps, but you might find a situation where the guys on mediums are feeling a lot more comfortable on those last 2 laps. Fastest lap of the race goes to Mr. M, and he's down in P5. Not anymore, he's going for the pass. The Aston Martin's going to fight back. Very nice wheel-to-wheel driving. McLaren not giving up, hanging it on the outside and eventually saying, okay, you got me, but I'll get you next time. Mr. M slots in behind Pantry Star. We have a virtual safety car. Just having a quick look at the track map. We don't see anybody appear to be stationary. Maybe just somebody spending a bit of time off track and triggering a virtual safety car. It does happen if the car is off track for a little too long. And Cyber, who had a fantastic qualifying session, he's down the order. He's lost 11 positions. Most positions made is actually Rockwell. He's in P7. Cyber not having the sprint race he would have wanted. Obviously the race at the moment is neutralized. Drivers have to drive within a delta. And as I say that, the game says, joke's on you. We're underway. Virtual safety car is over. And Loki leads the way at the restart. Mercedes is going to have 2 angry AlphaTauris behind him, both on the soft compound. They're going to want to get past. That's what you need to do if you're starting on the soft. You can't be driving behind drivers who have a harder compound than you, because they're going longer into the race than you. You need to be in front. You need to try and build up a gap. Ace of Pace gets the fastest second sector of the race, so he is on the move, and he is chasing down the Mercedes. How will these AlphaTauris play it? Will they have a go at each other, or will they play the team game and try catch up to that Mercedes? Because you might find that if they start battling against each other, the Mercedes may disappear into the distance. Loki now reacts, and he goes fastest in Sector 2 for the race. So these guys at the front giving it everything they've got. Let's have a look. There we go. I suspected that. Battery levels not looking too great for the guys at the front. A lot of battery usage this early on in the race. Actually, the AlphaTauris, Pantry Star, Moller, everybody having decent battery management. As for your leader, he's doing everything he can to stay there. When you've got guys behind you with DRS, you're sort of forced to use it, and it'll keep you in front for a while. But then, eventually, the inevitable. AlphaTauri up the inside. Will he be able to hold on to the position? He should. He's going to have the soft tyres, the superior traction, and just like that, the Mercedes loses 2 positions in 2 corners, and now there's a collision. Loki has gone into the back of one of the AlphaTauris. It's Maggot. Maggot's falling down the order. Loki seems to have regained his momentum, but he's down into P3. Is there damage on that Mercedes? I don't see damage on the Mercedes, but he is dropping down the order. And big collision there between the 2 drivers. I think it was just going to be who can brake the latest, and somebody braked a little too late. So Ace of Pace leads the way. Remember, he just passed the leader. Loki was the leader. He just passed the leader, and then Loki had an incident with the other AlphaTauri. So Ace of Pace now has a 1.2 second lead, and he'll want to keep it above that 1 second mark. To make sure you can keep Pantry Star out of DRS. Once somebody gets into your DRS, it's almost impossible to defend. You can only defend for a matter of time. But eventually, you're going to have no battery left and you're going to be a sitting duck on a DRS straight. Lap 6 of 9. 2/3 of the way through this sprint race. This would be a good result for Ace of Pace. Means he would start from pole position for the feature race. Would be a front row start for Pantry Star if the race were to end now. Still 3 laps to go. Ace of Pace completes another lap, lap 7 of 9. Gap is 1.3 seconds. He's managing it really well, just keeping it just outside of DRS. But if there is going to be a tyre effect, this is probably when you're going to see it. Last 2 laps of the race, you might start to see the guys on softs, if they've abused those tyres in the early laps, they might just start to drop off a little bit in the closing stages of the race, and you might see a few of these medium runners gaining a few positions. Moller, he is fighting for P2. It's half a second down the road from Pantry Star. Comfortably in his DRS. He's not going to be able to do it this time around unless there's a serious lunge, and for a second there I thought he was going to do something crazy, but thought better of it. Just having a look at Cyber, he's also not had the best start to the race, but now he's starting to gain some momentum, starting to come back through the field. Constructors, leaders do now have a car in the top 3. Just a few mistakes at crucial times, and drivers that could have got a really good result out of this race and a really good starting position for the next are now looking at a long feature race. Ace of Pace has done exactly what he's needed to do. Fortunately, his teammate almost pulled off that pass, but it led to a collision, and between the 2 cars, Maggot definitely came off second best. He's still down in P11, so he won't get points for this sprint race. Also the McLaren team, just the 1 car scoring points. Skull saying on Sunday Monaco is going to be a very long race. Well, it could be short if everyone just retires. I've done a 100% race around Monaco that started off with the full grid and finished with 6 cars. In fact, the game stopped giving us safety cars. We hit the limit. Mr. Rem He's in P3, he's comfortable. Car behind him, 3 seconds down the road, but car in front of him, 3 seconds up the road. So not much he can do in the closing stages of the race. Just got to bring the car home and hope for the misfortune of the cars ahead of him, because he's not going to be able to make up any considerable time to improve his position. His best position would be P3, unless one of these two men ahead of him leave a mistake for late in the race. But this is lap 9 of 9. Surely with just a few more corners, Ace of Pace will come home as your winner. Season 6 round 4 sprint race winner, Ace of Pace over the line first. He's going to start the feature race from pole, and Moller in the Ferrari is going to join him on the front row. We have Maggot coming over the line. He was one of the favourites for this race. Luckily for everyone who didn't have a great race, the main show is yet to come. Now just await the arrival of Rakwa at the start-finish line. Final car to finish the race. He was 22 seconds adrift from the rest of the field, so that suggests he made a pit stop at some stage. But he'll go over the line, and folks, that's your sprint race. Driver of the day for the sprint race, at least, Moller. And there's your official sprint race results. Ace of Pace taking the victory, Moller P2, those cars will start on the front row. Mr. M P3, Cyber P4, Pantry P5, Top Gun P6, Loki P7. Then we have Welsh P8, Maggot P9, and Apmagozi making up the top 10. Outside the top 10, we've got Chums P11, Andre P12, Rakwa made up the field in P13, and then retirements for Tylee Boy, Kratos, and Spikes. Guys, let me know in the comment section. Comment section relatively quiet, so let me know predictions for the race. What's your top 3? Who's your top 3 for the race? Let me know. We now await the start of the feature race. Obviously the guys now, they're going to take a little bit longer than in the sprint race. This is just them doing final touch-ups. What strategy are they going to do? Are they going to underfuel? What tyre will they start with? Where do they intend on pitting, and how many times? Got to get all that done, and if somebody happens to press X a little bit early, then you're on a 30-second time limit. Got predictions for the victory for Cyber, as well as the McLaren team. Orange Army, apparently. There we go, 4, 5 red lights. And when those lights disappear, the cars will disappear. Off we go. Alpha Tauri versus McLaren into turn 1. Very good start there from Mr. M. Jump. And Moller almost losing another position. We have that's a Red Bull going sideways at the back of the field. I believe that's Kratos, because we can see Kratos just falling down the order. He joins his teammate, now 14 and 15, the 2 Red Bulls. As for their junior team, having a better night, Ace of Pace leads the way, Mr. M P2. Moller still in P3, he lost the position into turn 1. Cyber, one of the favorites for the race. According to the comment section, he's in P4, Pantry Star. Another very quick driver. If he's able to consistently maintain his pace over a race, he is a favorite. So many drivers in the field can take this victory. Some may be faster than others, but it all comes down to getting that car to the end of the race. It's either going to be a one-stop or a two-stop. We saw some interesting strategies on Monday night, and we'll wonder if we're going to see a lot of the same. I know that a lot of the Tier 2 guys watch the Tier 1 stream on a Monday night, so they might have stolen some strategy ideas. So if you do see suspiciously similar strategies to Monday night, they were probably watching the stream. No change of position in the top 4, top 5, top 6. Everyone holding station for now. This is just lap 2 of 26. Remember, on lap 3 that will activate DRS. That is a rule change, by the way, for 2024. DRS will no longer become active on lap 3. It'll become active after 1 lap instead of after 3. As well as just 1 lap after the safety car. I think it's giving the guys an opportunity to open DRS before the Red Bull opens up a second gap. But in the world of SAFRL, Red Bull not having a fantastic evening. They're down in P12 and P15. We saw Kratos had an incident in the very early stages of the race. Andre sets the fastest lap of the race. That's the second McLaren down in P9. So we know that drivers all the way down in P9 have the pace to win this race. So a lot can still happen. And unlike the sprint race, pit stops will come into effect and will definitely play a large role in this race. You also got to wonder about the weather. I heard that it was dynamic. Doesn't look too cloudy, but we know how quickly things can change. For a second you say, wait, was that a drop? Did I see a drop? And half a lap later it's a disaster. Track can evolve into a wet track very quickly. It appears to be blue skies, so I don't think we have anything to fear. The AlphaTauri losing the lead of the race, and Mr. Rem, well, he will be looking to run off into the distance. The constructors leaders, his teammate looking to make momentum, but he's going to find himself in a difficult position now because he's at the back of a DRS train. So whereas DRS usually helps you, it's an advantage to let you catch the car in front and make a pass. Since they're all in a DRS train, that means all the cars ahead of him have the exact same advantage he does. So means the pass becomes a lot more difficult. You've got to rely on your battery and the driver ahead of you just making a mistake. Andre still P9, swarming all over the back of the Aston Martin. Desperate to get through this field. He's on a different strategy to his teammate. Mr. Rem started on mediums. Andre started on the hard, looking to go deeper into the race. An ace of pace. He got past for the lead, but by no means has he given up on this race. And he can't. He's got a Ferrari all over the back of him. AlphaTauri, nicely done. Ferrari thought about it, backed out of it, and Ace of Pace retakes the lead of the race. But this battle is far from over. What it is doing while the leaders are battling with each other, it's allowing the midfield to stay with the leaders, and it's causing this DRS train, which was 5 cars, now to become that 6 or 7 car DRS train. Can be quite stressful for the driver in front. If you're in front, you're the only car in that DRS train that doesn't have DRS. And if you do make a mistake, you could potentially take out 5 or 6 cars behind you, depending on where you are in the track. Ace of Pace still leads. McLaren hasn't been able to come back at him immediately. Playing the waiting game, staying behind the AlphaTauri for now. You want to get as close to the gearbox as he possibly can when it counts the most. Just before the next DRS zone, you want to be as close as you can be. But he's 6/10 adrift, so I think he's going to be a little too far behind this time. And not even a think about it. Stayed well clear. Moller still in P3, Pantry Star, P4. Maggot in P6. Looking to make his way up the field, make it maybe a AlphaTauri 1-2. Andre has the same intentions. He also wants to come through the field, but he's stuck in P9. And that's got nothing to do with his pace. It's just the major difficulty of being at the back of the DRS train. And all of those cars in front of him, Welsh, Loki, Maggot, Cyber, Pantry and Moller, all on the same strategy. So Andre's going to have to try and do something in the pits, maybe an undercut, try something to get himself ahead of this DRS train, because it's holding him back from a potential podium position. A lot of drivers here still within podium contention. In fact, if you look at that timing screen, is that the top 9? The top 9 are in a DRS train. That is insane. Top 9 are in a DRS train on lap 6. This field has stayed very close together. Ace of Pace still leads the way. The McLaren of Mr. M did get past him. Ace of Pace retook the lead. And the McLaren hasn't been able to come back at him just yet. Top 3 remain unchanged. Just look at the track map on your bottom right, and you see that swarm of cars. Those cars are not supposed to be that close together on lap 7. Mr. M retakes the lead of the race, but Ace of Pace, it's right on the gearbox of that car. I think these positions are going to change back shortly if the Ferrari doesn't get involved. It's so easy. You're leading the race. You're feeling comfortable. One driver passes you. You lose momentum. and a whole swarm of drivers are there to absolutely bury you. First penalty of the evening. That is a 3-second time penalty, so that is for track limits. Tiley boy breaking track limits 3 times, getting 3 warnings, and then leading to a 3-second time penalty. Those penalties always hurt so much. It's just running a little wider, taking a little bit more curb. You're looking for that extra 10th. And in looking for that extra 10th, you'll end up losing 3 seconds. Top Mercedes driver, Loki, P6. Andre now is making his way up the field a little bit. He was stuck in P9 for so long. Now he's up into P6. His next target will be Loki. But I'm sure Andre would prefer a little bit of free air. He's been in battles throughout. That's for his teammate. Leads the race by 0.6 of a second. Still nothing in the tier in the front. Things generally calm down in the front after a couple of laps and gaps begin to form. But on this particular occasion, well, Cyber making a mistake, making another. Ooh, that's not what you want to see. Very frustrating for a driver. And what happens is you just overheat the tires, you go onto the grass, you get the tires dirty, you start to panic, you want to get the car underway. And all that lands up happening is you spin again and again. And Cyber now seems to have gotten going yet again, but he's lost multiple positions. He's down in P10. When you're racing that hard, lap after lap, chasing the car in front, looking in your mirrors, defending and attacking at the same time, it's so easy. And in fact, it's surprising that it took 9 laps. Mr. Rem, what has happened here? Mr. Rem losing serious momentum. He's fallen down the order into 4th place. Is there damage on the McLaren? Does not appear to be the case, but he's coming under pressure now from Mercedes. Don't know if Mr. Rem made a mistake. We didn't see it. We just saw him drastically lose a few positions. Don't know if he just got swallowed up by the cars in front of him, or if he spent a little time off track. Nevertheless, McLaren's now P4 and P5 and 6. Loki using the DRS to his advantage and getting himself up into P4. And the McLarens that were in drastically different positions at the start of the race are now together in P5 and 6. As for this man here, so far, so good. Winner of the sprint race. And very possibly, the way things are looking, he's a favourite here. Just need to stay off those penalties. Remember, the moment you get a penalty, you make your job a lot more difficult. Moller up into the lead. Now remember, Moller and Ace of Pace have 2 different strategies. Moller, the car in front, is on the harder compound. He's going to be able to go later into this race. We did see 1 or 2 instances of guys dragging the medium a little longer and then finishing the race on the softs. That means you have to spend a bit of time on those mediums. I think on Monday we saw the medium runners come in between lap 12 and 15. And I expect a similar result. The guys will start coming in lap 12, and then the hard runners more around lap 15. On a Wednesday night I feel so much more knowledgeable, but that's because I did exactly the same race on a Monday. Ace of pace. He's got an Aston Martin all over the back of him. Thought he was going to lose P2 for a second there. But Pantry Star wasting no time, and I wonder if those mediums, I wonder if the hard tyre is just the best tyre to be on right now, and those mediums have just passed their peak. McLarens haven't made too much gain. They're still P5 and 6. Loki holding on to that 4th place. Pantry Star, actually this entire top 3 within a second. Podium is far from decided. Nobody deciding to start on the soft. Everyone choosing a medium or a hard. And I suspect some will stretch this tyre to finish on the soft. And we saw that was pretty beneficial on Monday night. In the closing stages of the race, some of the guys on the softs made up ridiculous time. Top Gun 3-second time penalty. Spoke about that earlier. These penalties will start to add up. And then finishing ahead of your opponent on track isn't important. You need to finish ahead of him with sufficient time. Ace of pace into the pits. First of the leaders to make the jump. He was on mediums. Mr. M also comes into the pits, as does Spikes. Seems like most of the medium runners are coming in this lap. Hard runners will probably go for another 2 or 3 laps. And then will anybody be brave enough to strap on a set of softs, or will we see these guys finish on mediums? Moller. 3-car battle, now down to 2 as Ace of Pace checked out. Went into the pits and re-emerged in 8th place. But of course all these cars around him are yet to pit. At least all the cars in front of him are yet to pit. The next few laps for Moller and Pantry Star are crucial. Need to get the most out of this hard tyre. And if they're battling each other a little too much, you might find a situation that once the pit stops are over, could have Ace of Pace in the lead of this race quite comfortably, because these two have been tripping over each other when they're supposed to be doing their best laps of the race. Andre P3. He's obviously gained a few positions as a result of those pit stops. Mr. M, the other McLaren, he has made a pit stop and he's down in P9. Made a pit stop on the same lap as the AlphaTauri. And when will Moller pull the trigger? When will the hard runners pull the trigger? How much longer will they stay out there? Remember, they're going around on hards, aging hards. Ace of Pace has gone in, put on a brand new set of hards, so he should be going a little quicker than the leaders. So if they do battle each other, when they do pit, Ace of Pace is going to be in front. And luckily for him, he's also in open air. Clean air, look at that. For the next 8 seconds up the road, he doesn't need to worry about any traffic. So he can just put in the lap times like they're time trial lap times, one after the other, give it everything. And wait to see what these two are going to do. Moller stays out for another lap. Pantry Star stays out for another lap. So the leaders are staying out. Andre stays out for another lap. None of the hard runners have decided to pit just yet. And as I say that, thank you Top Gun. None of the hard runners have pit, and Top Gun comes into the pits on a set of hards. So he's the first man on hards to pull the trigger. Will most likely finish this race on mediums. Still 11 laps to go. Cyber has emerged from the pits on a set of softs, but 42 seconds adrift. The only thing that can bring him back into this would be a safety car. And we haven't seen any of those. Another thing to remember is if we don't get a safety car at all, some of these guys may have underfueled. And that's going to show in the closing laps. As you have to start lifting off the throttle where you really don't want to be lifting off the throttle. And you see a guy falling down the order. Pantry Star going to the inside, just showing him a nose in the mirror, letting him know he's there, just reminding him. But Moller jumps into the pits. Some might think, if you're coming into the pits, why did you defend so hard? Well, the longer you can obstruct your opponent, the better chance you have of coming out in front of him. So if Pantry Star comes in this lap, it'll mean that his main opponent is going to be going around on a fresh set of tires right now, making up time on him. So I'm almost certain at the end of this lap we will see the Aston Martin come in. Unless he's dragging this for a set of softs. Loki has done just that. He's come out on a set of softs, so we'll keep our eyes on that car. Should be very quick in the closing stages. Remember, when you finish the race on softs, the car is at its lightest. You've used up most of its fuel at that point. You've got the best grip. And it's really the closest to a qualifying session you're going to get. The car's probably in its best condition of the race. So I'm not so keen on using the softs at the beginning of the race. The car's heavy and you don't get the best lap times out of it. Ace of Pace, P3, and remember he's made his pit stop. The two cars in front of him, 22 and 24 seconds up the road. Pit stop around here takes in the region of 22 to 25 seconds, so it's going to be touch and go. I might be wrong, but I think if Ace of Pace were to pit right now, he would come out just behind those two, but he's chosen to stay out. There we go. Moller back up into P2. Loki, he's going to have a strong finish to this race. We haven't spoken much about Loki in this race, but look at that. 9 laps to go, fresh set of softs. Same story for Pantry Star, also a fresh set of softs. And well, that wasn't Pantry Star, that was a Mercedes. Apologies. Loki goes past the Mercedes and up into P2. He's got a fresh set of softs and he's going to chase down that leader very quickly. 2.3 seconds is the gap. Keep your eyes on that gap. That gap is going to fall very quickly. This is the perfect time to have softs on your car. Just don't want to overheat them, overdo them in the first couple of laps. Got to make sure they get to lap 26. The Orange Army, as they're called. Constructors, leaders, P5 and 6. Top 3 are on 3 different compounds of tyre. So we have 3 very different strategies in the top 3. You're going to see who comes out on top. 3-second time penalty for Cyber. If these things rack up next to your name, they can really make a good result impossible. Cyber now up to 6 seconds. As far as that penalties column goes, the guys have been relatively well behaved. I think we saw more penalties on Monday night. This track is very easy to invalidate. There are parts of this race circuit that you really need to attack the corner, and when you do, you're always at the risk of attacking it a little too much. Another 3-second time penalty starting to stack up now, this time for Tiley Boy. Levy already had one, so he's going to be up to 6 seconds. Ace of Pace leads the way. Loki, I told you, watch that gap. It was 2.5 seconds when I said watch the gap. It's now 0.6 of a second. And surely with the help of DRS, there will be nothing Ace of Pace can do to keep that car behind him. Way superior grip. And not only superior grip, those softs are only 3 laps old. Whereas Ace of Pace has 6 lap old hards. So he's got the better compound and the fresher compound. And Loki up the inside. No mistake there. Great overtake. And Loki goes into the lead of the race. But now he needs to open up a gap. He needs to open up a gap that in the event that those softs do drop off for whatever reason in the closing stages, he needs to have a gap that's large enough that he can defend from Ace of Pace. Because if Ace of Pace is able to stay on his gearbox and those softs do drop off, all of a sudden the AlphaTauri or even the Ferrari could become the favorite. Moller thought about it, showed him the front wing. Keep applying the pressure, keep applying the pressure. Goes left, goes right. I'm in this mirror, then I'm in that mirror. Make the driver aware of you. And force the error. Not like that though, but Ace of Pace. We didn't get a good camera angle on that, but there we go. Ace of Pace seems to be going slowly down the Hamilton straight. Not quite sure what happened there. Has he recovered? Seems like he's recovered. Car was going slowly, but now in P6, I think Ace of Pace will be cursing inside his helmet. Whether that was an incident that involved another car, or if that was an incident in terms of he made a mistake, we didn't get to see. It was a terrible camera angle. But either way, if it's someone else's fault or if it's his fault, he'll still be cursing in his helmet. He's having a fantastic race up until that point. But now surely the race has gone the way of Loki. Now leads the race by 1.5 seconds, clearly outside of DRS. Moller on the medium tyre, and he's under serious pressure of his own with Pantry Star trying to weasel his way through into P2. Further back in the field, doesn't seem to be any battles at the moment. Close battles. This is the closest battle on track. It's the battle for P2. So we'll stay with it for now. This is riding on board with Pantry Star, currently P3, chasing down the Ferrari ahead of him. Ferrari ahead of him is on mediums. So at this early stage of the tyre life, Pantry Star should have a slight advantage. And you'll probably see that advantage at a place like Maggot and Beckett's. Get as close as you can through the S's. And then utilize DRS to make the pass. But as you can see, both the drivers involved in this battle have almost no battery. In fact, the top three have almost no battery, with 5 laps to go. This is Moller. He's in P2. And he can still see Loki up the road. Loki hasn't vanished over the horizon. 0.8 of a second is the gap, so he's been able to keep it within DRS. And the crucial thing about that is if the car in front of you has the softer compound and they're 2 or 3 tenths faster than you a lap, being in DRS can cancel that 2 or 3 tenths right out. So effectively you're cancelling out the advantage that the driver ahead of you is getting from the softer compound. But if you drop out of DRS, you will see that car disappear. That is a Red Bull being lapped. I believe that's Kratos. He had an incident very early on. He has apparently left the lobby as far as I can tell. So that car will simply ghost to the end. Loki 0.9 of a second. It's within DRS, it's crucial. But 0.8 is still too far. Not going to be able to make a pass. Need to start that DRS zone at about half a second. Even half a second would take a bit of a lunge. Needs to get closer to the Mercedes. Apparently a max exodus could be on the way from Mercedes. Up to 7 staff members apparently could be making the move from Mercedes-Benz to Ferrari, including Hamilton's engineer. So 2024 will be a very interesting season for Ferrari and Mercedes. Three laps to go. Loki leads the way, 7 tenths. Pantry Star still P3. And actually still in it for a win. Top 3 within a second, just over a second. Things very close. Podium far from decided. The 2 McLarens, P4, P5. Not the best night for them, but they've minimized the damage, finishing just off the podium. Remember, they had a fantastic start to the season, putting 2 cars on the podium for the first 3 races. First 2 races. Last race they got 1 podium. But it's been about consistency. While the other drivers trip over each other. Sometimes championships aren't all about winning races. You can win championships by consistency if the rest of the field is making life difficult for themselves. Remember Keke Rosberg, Formula One world champion, on his way to that world championship, only won one race the entire season. Similar scenario with MotoGP in 2020. Alex Rins, just the one victory took him to championship. So even if you're not having a good day, you just got to make sure you stick through it, finish in the points. Every single point at the end of the season will count, and if you lose by a handful of points and know you didn't give it your all in a certain race, you're not going to forgive yourself. Mola into the lead on those mediums now. I wonder if those softs have just passed their best. If that is the case, then this race will come to Mola in the next 2 laps, and Loki and Pantry Star will have a difficult time staying with him. But let's see. For now, Mola leads the way, and the 2 cars behind him appear to be on the better compound. Ferrari stays in front for now. Pantry Star lurking behind in 3rd place. He'll know that if these 2 have any sort of incident, he's close enough to pass them both, steal the win of the race. So while he'll want to attack Loki, he'll also be caught in 2 minds of, do I just wait for these 2 to trip over each other? Problem is, if they don't, you just cruise to 3rd place like you're behind a safety car. Loki getting real close. Mola doing just enough. Absolutely nothing in it on the battery side of things. P1 and P2 have identical battery levels. Both of them in the single digits. Now Pantry Star thought about taking P2, just ran out of tarmac, had to back out of it. Mola starts the final lap of the race. He's got to defend this lead for another 5.8 kilometers, and he'll be the winner here in round 4. But it's easier said than done. Loki on the soft compound. Car as light as you're going to get it. Pantry Star on the soft compound, just a further half second behind. Anything can still go in this final lap. We'll ride with the man currently in P2. Let's go with the man in P3 rather. That's Pantry Star. We can see the 2 leaders just ahead of us, P1, P2, getting very close as they enter Maggots and Beckett's. And now if you're the man in P2 here, you want to stay as close to that Ferrari as you possibly can. And then when you get on the exit here, open up DRS. Hope that you got the superior traction. And there we go. I think he's going to do it. Hangs onto the inside. The Ferrari's not going to let it go. Hangs onto the outside. Just enough space. Ooh, and we got a late collision here. Took a little bit too much curb. Car went sideways. Mercedes will hold on for P2. What a spectacular end to the race there. Mola stealing the lead on the final lap. Andre goes over the line for P4 for the leading McLaren. Top Gun over the line for P6. McLaren's actually finished P4 and 5. Not a bad result for them considering the rest of the evening wasn't great. Just now wait a few of the back runners. P4 and 5 for McLaren, that's right. The Orange Army have their own nickname. Don't know how Max would feel about that nickname. It's probably copyright. Magosi gets promoted into P9 because of the penalty, so he'll get a few points for tonight. No points tonight for the two horse drivers coming over the line just outside the points, 11 and 12. Andre, driver of the day. There we have it, your official results of round 4. The main race. Moller winning the race. Loki P2 losing out right at the end. Then Pantry Star P3. Andre P4. Mr. Rem P5. Top Gun P6. Maggot P7. Spikes P8. Magosi P9. And Ace of Pace started from pole position. Was one of the favourites for the race. He squeezes in P10 and picks up the final point. No points on the night. Rukwa for Haas. Chums for Haas. Kratos in the Red Bull. Welsh in the Aston Martin. And then the two retirements of Cyber and Tiley Boy. To the spectators who've joined me on Monday as well as Wednesday night, I want to thank you all. I'll be back on Sunday night with SKR in Monaco, I believe. And I'll see you then. Thank you everyone for joining. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Hit the bell notification so you get a notification every time we go live with a race. And I'll speak to you again on Sunday. Cheers.